What's up guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about creating an epic life on your terms. Today we're talking about how to unleash your inner power, how to unleash your inner warrior. And I love this topic because I will never forget the day I decided to unleash my inner beast, my inner warrior. And that's when everything changed. That's when I went for that six-figure job. That's when I started doing this channel. That's when I said, this is enough. I can't live in this reality and allow other people to determine how I feel about myself. I had enough of feeling like this is it. There's nothing better to come. And so I know this. I remember this like it was yesterday. And I really make it a point that when I talk about something, I really give you a manual so you can really do the steps one after the other. And it's not just something you do on one day, but something that actually change your approach to life. And today we're gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna talk about the 5 steps I took that really changed my life in a way, how I tapped into my inner warrior, how I really went for the life I wanted, and how I got the inner fuel that was necessary to catapult me to the next level. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, and follow me on Instagram to stay up to date with the news about this channel. I had always felt that I had this inner strength, and I know you have it too. You wouldn't be watching this video if you didn't feel that you have that inner warrior inside of you. We have to feel it in order to say, oh, I want to do something about it. I want to unleash it. I want to bring it out. And so this actually exists in us. If it didn't exist, we wouldn't feel it. So if you're in a position and you want to bring that inner warrior out, then ask yourself, what about your current reality you're not gonna allow anymore? What of your current reality would maybe be okay for you right now, but you would never be okay if your friend went through it, or if your sister went through it, or your mom, or anybody else? Think about that. What do you think is okay, and you stay in the situation and you don't change it, but if you would see somebody else in that, you will definitely think, oh, that poor person, I have to get him out. I have to help him. I have to make sure that this never happens again. So for me, that meant I wasn't willing to give the people around me the power to determine how I feel about myself. See, I was always the sidekick, always. I was the sidekick in friendships, I was the sidekick in relationships, I was the sidekick at work. It was never about what I wanted. I didn't want to take the responsibility for that. So I actually tried to do absolutely everything to be accepted, even by that one person or that little group. I used to really be great at understanding what they want, give them what they want, and therefore I would experience excitement. You know, for example, I was with a friend who was always great at stirring the pot. You know, she was always the troublemaker, but in a positive way, and I could just lay back, don't do anything, not get judged for it, and she could do all of this crazy stuff and I could be a part of that. But while doing this, I was giving away my power to that person. Even if that person wants the best of you, she or he is not you. They don't know what you really want. They don't know who you really are. And the moment that person that you're getting so close to, because you get so much of their energy by being in their space, if they decide that they don't like who you are or what your values are, which will happen because we're all different, then you are actually forced to live their reality. You're forced to think about yourself what they think about yourself, because you've given up this power of yours to your environment, to your friends, to the people around you. I, of course, didn't think that I was doing these things in order not to live out my life. I had constructed this noble understanding of my mind of, they need me. I'm there to help them. I'm there to protect them. I'm there to make sure that they live their life the best way possible. That's what I was telling myself. And our mind is a perfect player when it comes to this. It'll tell us whatever we want to hear. You're in a relationship that's abusive. Oh, he didn't mean it. He needs help. You're in a friendship or a relationship where the other person doesn't pull their weight. You think, oh, I would be such a bad person to let them be and care about my own well-being. The list goes on and on. For example, I can't leave my job now. I know I'm being underappreciated, but if I leave, I let my coworkers deal with all the mess, and I'm leaving. That's the kind of thing we keep telling ourselves, but the truth is, we're not taking responsibility for our life. Because when you're in this position, you're saying 2 things. First off, the other person is not able to help themselves. I'm the one who has to help them. I'm the one who has to make sure that they're not rejected, by me staying in that relationship, staying in that friendship, staying in a reality that is not good for me. Sometimes it's even about, oh, you see your parents struggling. Who am I to get out of that and do something which I love and maybe even makes me a lot of money and friends and an exciting life? Then I'm leaving them behind and I'm making it obvious to them how much their life sucks. What you're doing there is you're saying they're not able to do it by themselves, and you're saying you're the one who will make them feel good about themselves. But that's the misunderstanding on both parts, because neither you can save them, nor can they save you. There is only one control you have in your life, and that is around your life and your decisions and what you make out of every single situation in your life. I do not have the power to save anybody. I can only help if I'm already saved. Those are things I had to learn. I have to give the oxygen to me first. So when I help out of empowerment. I don't help out of codependency. I don't help when I'm already small in my power and I'm giving away more and more to a point where I have a reality break, which I had. So what am I not gonna allow anymore? What is that one thing that I will not allow my reality to say about me? If it is that your friends say, oh, you're lazy. If it is that your friends say, well, you're not exciting. If that really stings, then it's because there's something you care about, which till this point, you have allowed other people to judge about you. Let me give you an example. You want to live an exciting life, so you're with that exciting person. That person always made you feel you're part of the deal. But the moment she says, well, you live a boring life, you're boring, if that really hurts, then it's because you have actually given away your power of feeling like you're living an exciting life to that person. So what do you have to do? So no matter if she thinks that your life is boring, you know that that's not true, because you have made sure that your life is exciting. If you feel like I want to have purpose in this world, and you allow other people to give you the impression that you have purpose until the point when they no longer do that, and you realize, oh, so I'm in the mercy of what they think. You're at a work and they're telling you over and over again, no matter how hard you work, we're not going to pay you more. We don't appreciate you more because we don't think you are valued more. You deserve more. You have two options there. You can either say, yes, you're right. You stay there and you allow them to tell it to yourself. Even if you say, oh, I deserve more, I should get more. If you stay in that situation and you allow that person to make the judgment call about how you feel about your own value, then you're still giving that power away. And then you can ask yourself, even if you're at a position where you say, right now, I just can't quit my job. I can't change my job. Well, there's other times of the day. There are other things you can do so you feel like you're taking control. For me, it was the moment where I realized I will never allow myself to get in a situation where I'm dependent on somebody liking me and accepting me because my life outside of them would be boring. That was the thing that really struck a chord with me, because I stayed with people way too long because I didn't want to take responsibility for the excitement in my life. And that's when I knew I had to unleash that inner power. And I had to do it not just for a short period of time. I had to become this. Being a warrior would have to be one of my core values of that new personality that I was creating for myself. I had to reinvent myself. That is what it takes. See, Gary Zukov, he's one of the great writers that, firstly inspired Oprah 30 years ago. And he said something of the sort, you have to create your personality in a way that supports your soul. My soul needed a new personality around it that would encourage it. My ego, my personality until this point, the person that I thought I wasn't making sure that my soul was living out her truth. It was not helping that. And so I needed to create this new version of myself. And once I've made that decision that I had to change, because this will never ever happen again. It will never happen again. That one person in my life will have the power to make me feel inferior. Of course, it still happens. There are people in my life that when they say something, it triggers something in me. But that is just an indication of, oh, baby, it's time to push the buttons. It's time to upgrade. It's time to unleash even more of that inner warrior. I do not need to cut people out of my life anymore. I just decide, okay, I will not allow this kind of dynamic anymore. I've been giving away too much of my power. If that person makes me feel this way, then it's because I haven't taken responsibility about this aspect. If I feel like somebody makes me feel like I'm lazy and I don't want to feel lazy, then I have to become a person who is not lazy. So, and little things like this will really push you to make that decision. And once you've made that decision, that's when the fun part begins. Because creating this new reality, you really work with archetypes. You choose something that you can morph into. See, every characteristic you see in a music video, in a TV series, in a movie, even like authors, like whatever you see in them, that's part of you. If it wasn't part of you, you wouldn't be able to feel it. And if you feel it listening to a person, listening to like a role, just like this fictional character, then that's a part of you that you can lean into, that you can unleash. So I, for example, really found an anthem. For me at that moment, I really tapped into my inner Lil Kim. Like that was my thing at that point. I really found something that I knew that I had in me that I wasn't and hadn't allowed in myself so far. And what I'm talking about here is actually this power of I'm doing it my way. I'm being bold, I'm being loud, and I'm going for it. And I'm taking what is mine. That's the kind of attitude that I saw in her. It wasn't those songs that were all popular and that people found way over the top. No, it was the ones where it was all about that inner strength, where it was about overcoming obstacles. That is what I resonated with. I listened to Jay-Z, I listened to Eminem, I listened to the things that really struck a chord in me. And I made it a point to listen to it daily. I mean, seriously, daily. I became addicted to that. I closed my eyes and I imagined where I am looking at all of those people that actually made me feel this way. And it was like I was talking to them. It was like I was saying, you will never ever have the right, you'll never ever have the power to make me feel like this. But it can also be your environment. If your environment mirrors back to you that you don't deserve anything, that you are not gonna achieve anything, then make it a point to improve your environment and tell yourself, I'm gonna leave that all environment behind. All the people, all this self-neglect, all this like misery, self-inflicted pain, this self-pity, I'm gonna leave all of that behind. So it really is necessary that you find that anthem, that you find that archetype. What is it? Maybe it's Khaleesi. Maybe it's Batman. Like maybe it's just really something so superficial, like some superhero. You will be that. If that is what resonates with you, if that makes you feel alive by watching this, then imagine being that and lean into it as much as you possibly can. So once you've anchored this in, so you already know, okay, now until this point, I've been, let's say, the kind one, I've been the nice one, and that's how I thought people were gonna like me. And now I've decided for myself, I'm gonna be a warrior. And how can I see myself as this warrior in a positive way? And then I say, if people want to like me, then they have to like me with this quality itself. Because it's a circle. It can be a negative vicious circle. It can be a positive circle. If you say, I'm going to show up as this warrior and I'm only going to allow people to like me as this warrior, as having this warrior part of my personality, because this is evident and part of who I am now, then what's gonna happen, you're gonna show up as this warrior, you're gonna do things as a warrior, your actions, your choices, your lifestyle will more and more reflect that, but it will become normal to you. But in the beginning, it really is that switch. you'll see that the people who only liked you thinking you're that kind person, the person who will allow everything, that person that is really impressionable, like if they only like that person, the moment you say from now on I'm only gonna show up as this warrior, that does not mean that I will not have this part, but it will mean that you never ever be a person who will not have this warrior quality with you. Everybody who only liked you for this version will leave you. They will leave you. They will abandon you. They'll reject you. And the hard part about this is because up until this point, you had rejected this warrior in you, which means that the majority of the people around you, which you had chosen before, they would also reject that warrior of you. How can it be any different? We choose our environment and the people around us based on what we believe. And if we believe being a warrior is a bad thing, it's not something that people are gonna like me for, then I'm also gonna gather people around me who believe just that. Which means that most of the people in your life will have some kind of rejection towards you because you have chosen them before. You have chosen them based on your old reality. So that new reality, of course, there's gonna be a change. And either people will completely leave you or your dynamic will change. And that is just something you have to anticipate. It's just gonna happen. It's okay that way. You're ready for the next step, and it will actually give room for you to go into the person you wanna be, to step into being the warrior that you always wanted to be. You can go for new goals. You can surround yourself with new people. You can become more and more the person you wanna be by tapping into that inner beast of yours. So when we've gotten to this point, it's time to manipulate yourself. It's time to be the most impressionable person you can be. See, manipulation is not always a bad thing. Manipulation can be your best friend ever. If you're, for example, addicted and then there's somebody who manipulates you to get out of it, it's a good thing. Manipulation just means to convince you and to change your mind, to brainwash you in a different reality. And that thing can be something positive, especially when your current life does not reflect where you want to live. So I made it a point to really manipulate myself every single day. And you know how I did that? I did that with those unleashed your inner beast, unleash your inner warrior, those little videos that are 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that are so epic, that are so like over the top. You can watch them on YouTube. Most of the time, they're based for sports people, like really for fitness, like junkies, or for people who really want to fight their way out. And very often there is this like physical connotation to it. But I never cared. For me, it was actually this over the top thing that most people think sounds like a cult. That is exactly what I needed. I needed that thing that will make me the most impressionable, manipulated person ever. Because I knew going into this, I don't have to worry about it. I know watching this is just gonna manipulate me to be that warrior, to wanna fight, to wanna go for something in my life. And why did I wanna do that? Well, there are two main reasons. First off, I had decided I will not go back where I was. And as uncomfortable as it was for me, because I really felt like hell in the beginning, it felt like, okay, now everybody's gonna reject me. Nobody's gonna like me. And all I wanted is just for the next day to be a little bit better than the last day. I had no idea that I had the chance to feel as great as I feel now. I didn't know that was possible. But even if it was just about feeling a little bit better, I knew that this is what I had to do. And so I really made it a point. I manipulated myself and I forced myself into this until this new thing became me. I remember now looking back at it, how every time I watched these little videos, they evoked something in me. They made me feel something. They really tapped into this because it's all there all the time, but we have to lean into it. We have to become more and more that person. Nowadays, if I watch this, it doesn't do this to my body. And you know why? Because I already am this person. I now don't feel like I'm this grand warrior who always fights, but I am, and it's just become so normal to me. There is no like harshness to it. There is no such thing as I have to try. I have become it. It's part of me. And once you go like those first steps, it will become your new normal. But those first steps, these are the hardest ones. These are the ones where you need your most motivation in. So make sure that you pick an archetype, pick a role model, and then push yourself with something like, for example, those videos that I was talking about. You'll find them on YouTube, Motivation 2019, whatever it is. That's what worked for me the biggest. But I know there are like tons of other things you can do that you can input into your mind and allow yourself to be brainwashed in a positive way, manipulated in a positive way, so you become the person who is a warrior. That has to be the thing that makes you feel alive and inspires you to go into that direction. Now that we've gotten so far, we only have 2 steps left. Step 4 and step 5. And step 4 is actually about your goals. It's actually when you really get active and you change something about your life, because in the end, why be a warrior if you're not gonna really go for something? If you're not gonna really change your life? You can't just stay in this position and say, oh, I just don't want to allow the people around me to make me feel bad, so I'm just going to feel good about myself. No, what do you have to do so you do feel like this? It's really putting that action behind it. If you want to be somebody who goes for an exciting life, then what are you going to do that will make you feel like you're living an exciting life? Is it to go for that next job position? Is it to say, yes, I'm going to go to Asia for 2 months and I'm going to go by myself. I'm going to pack my backpack because I want to prove to myself that I can do it. See, those goals, even if they're not like your end result where you want to go, you can do them in order to build character, in order to build strength. See, when I went for my 6-figure job, I knew that this is not the perfect thing for me. I knew that. I knew that this will not be my end result. But I also knew that staying where I'm at right now, I would stay in my comfort zone, my discomfort comfort zone, something that I was used to that wouldn't allow me to become the person I wanted to be. I knew that I had to take on challenges so I could build myself, so I could build my strength, so I can actually become a person who can handle this. So when I went to this job, it really got me out of my comfort zone. I was first off surrounded by people who were so much better at what they were doing than my last colleagues. I realized how much more I had to learn, and I realized that I won't make it by just because I'm a good thinker. Like, I really had to put effort into it. I had to build my inner discipline. I had to build my inner strength. And doing that and saying, I'm going to take on that challenge, that is what made me feel like I'm living an exciting life. And I'm in the control seat of making sure I'm going for a better life. I'm going to make sure I'll have more money. I'll make sure I'll have nicer surroundings. I was flying all around the world, staying in the Hilton hotels, like my whole Hilton Diamond status era. Like, I really appreciate all of that. And you know why the most? Not so much because I like luxurious living, which I do, but it was more like I did this. Like, whoever comes into my life, nobody can make me feel like I didn't have the strength to pull myself up. If people give you an impression of you being lazy, then it's because you kind of feel like you're being lazy. And you feeling you're lazy means you're not pushing your potential. If you would be somebody who says, I want to be a person who is active, I want to be a person who goes for great things in their life. The moment you do those things and you've accomplished them, or you strive to just progress in all of those areas, there is nobody who can make you feel like you're lazy, because you know that you're already on your way to becoming a more active person. It's that decision, it's that leaning in part that will make you feel, I don't need your validation anymore. I don't need you to like me. I don't need you to feel like I'm not being lazy, because I know I'm not. I know that because I'm giving the best I can. That is what will give you the strength. That is what's going to unleash your inner power and your inner warrior even more. So those action steps are so important. And when you take those action steps, don't ask yourself anymore, what for? See, I used to think, why should I go for that better job? Like, that's not where I want to go. I don't want to be working 60 hours a week. I don't want to write minutes. I don't want to do all of this. But then I knew, there will be some things that I won't like so much, but staying where I am right now, that's not an option. So me going for something that can create something better for myself is the way to go. Because with all of that said, with all of those things of why should I want this, I don't know this for sure. I don't know how I'm gonna feel once I dare to go for this. I don't know what thing that will do to my character, who I'll become, and how proud I am of myself after that, or how this thing could actually unleash a new truth to myself that will tell me where to go next. But what I know with utmost certainty is that this I will not live any longer. When I know that this is something I will never ever accept again, then I will go for things which I'm not certain of. I will go for the things that will make me grow. I will go to the things that I can only handle if I unleash that inner warrior of mine, where I am in need of that part of me that will make sure that I will fight myself out of this. I will do things that will make it necessary for me to bring that inner phoenix up from the ashes and become this like new version of myself that is better than everything before. And sometimes it's really necessary for us to be pushed all the way down before we decide now it's enough. But you don't have to go there. You don't have to be completely on the floor in order to make those changes. If you just say, this is enough, I want to feel better about myself. And I'm gonna make sure that I'll find a role model, I'll do and listen to an anthem all the time. I'll become that role I see on TV, or that movie star I see, or that musician, because what I see is me. What I see in them is a part that I have in myself. And then you manipulate yourself over and over again, so this becomes you. And you take on challenges that change your life. So it's not just something that's happening in your mind, you actually have tangible results. You actually are in a new space. You actually moved to a new apartment. You actually are debt-free. You made sure that you really went on that trip that you said you were going to take. I went to Venezuela to see the Angel Falls by myself for like 5 days, and I organized it within like 3 weeks because I knew I needed this. And it was beautiful and amazing. But one of the biggest things was that I said, I'm gonna do this. I wanna experience life, and I'm gonna do this for me, because nobody can take this away from me. So once you've gotten to this point, there's one thing that you cannot neglect. And that is something you don't need all the way in the beginning, but at least in the middle of your process, when you started taking on those goals, you will have to do this fifth step. And that fifth step is actually to start giving to others. Because this motivation of pain, which can be a great catalyzer in changing you from the person that allowed all of this into becoming the person you want to be and unleashing that inner warrior, that motivation will not last. Motivation that is based on pain and discomfort won't last that long, because at some point you won't feel that discomfort. At some point you will be somewhere else. But what can really sustain your growth? If you say, okay, now that I was willing to bring out that strength of mine, how can I help others? It will be the thing that will make you feel like this is not a shallow thing. You will not feel like what for, because you already know what I have learned. I want to give that strength that I have to others. But you cannot do this until you do what is for you first, until you give the oxygen to you first. That inner warrior will become a part of you, and you will love her and you will love him like you've never loved another part of you. That thing will make sure that you live your best life possible. If you want to dive even deeper on this, watch the video on how to let anger fuel you. Anger can be a great catalyzer if you use it correctly. I wish you, like always, guys, a wonderful day, a great week, and I talk to you next time.